Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Jeremy Moreland, and I am Provost and Chief Academic Officer at St. Thomas University. It is my pleasure to welcome you to St. Thomas University for the inauguration of our 10th President, David A. Armstrong. At this time, I ask that you please continue to stand for the singing of the National Anthem, sung by alumna Natalia Perulis, followed by the invocation by the Most Reverend Thomas G. Winsky, the Archbishop of Miami.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of all that is good and father of all the races and nations of humankind, so that thy will be done on earth as it in heaven, you sent into the world your only Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, as Savior and Redeemer. To a world of fragile peace and broken promises, Jesus offers his Easter gift of peace. He gives us his peace not as the world does, which often relies only on the illusory promise of peace through security of arms. Rather, Jesus' gift of peace is the fruit of an encounter born in dialogue and nurtured through mutual respect and understanding. We pray this afternoon as we welcome the new administration of President Armstrong that this university will be a place of encounter, that this university will always be a place that seeks true dialogue and through mutual respect and understanding advances the cause of truth in our world. We ask your blessings upon our new president and his family. We ask your blessings upon the faculty and staff of this university, upon the students, the alumni, the Board of Trustees. We thank you, Lord, also for the benefactors of this university and for the good works their generosity have made and will make possible. We ask that as President Armstrong begins his tenure with us, he will be guided by your Holy Spirit, and that through the guidance of that Holy Spirit, every thought, word, and deed of his will reach a successful conclusion through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you to Natalia and Archbishop Winsky. At this historic event, we are pleased to have with us on stage honored dignitaries, community leaders, current and emeriti members of the St. Thomas Board of Trustees, and campus and alumni representatives. We are also pleased to welcome the many business and community leaders and special guests joining us today. On behalf of the St. Thomas community, I would like to extend a warm welcome to David Armstrong's wife, Leslie, and their two children, Johanna, who is currently a student at St. Thomas University, and also David. I would also like to extend greetings to all of David's family and friends who are joining us today. We are so pleased to welcome you into the Bobcat family. Also joining us today are more than 30 distinguished presidents and delegates from colleges and universities from across the United States. We are honored to have each of you here. Now, it's a long-standing tradition at presidential inaugurations to include greetings from representatives of the community in which we live and work, and you will soon be hearing from several of them. Right now, it is my pleasure to introduce the Reverend Monsignor Franklin M. Casal, President Emeritus of St. Thomas University. Monsignor Casal Monsignor Casal, who retired last year, served as St. Thomas's president for a quarter century. Please welcome to the podium the Reverend Monsignor Franklin M. Casal.
I gave it back because it doesn't fit me. Good afternoon, everyone. I am surely delighted to be here today because of the flood of memories that I have of my 25 years of service at this great university with so many faculty, staff, administrators, and students whom I have admired and loved. I know together we accomplished a great deal with thousands of our graduates, impacting our society now as ethical leaders. But I am surely excited today because we inaugurate a new leader, David A. Armstrong, who I know will build for the future an even stronger and greater university. I have known Dave as a colleague and a friend for years. I know he possesses the passion for higher education that is needed today in a president. I believe he possesses the skills and values that were embedded in the Augustinian friars who established the first St. Thomas University, Santo Tomás de Villanueva, in Havana, Cuba in the 1940s, and who brought the faculty and staff out of Cuba during the terrible takeover by communism in 1961. I would like to acknowledge the presence today of Father Peter Donahue, the president of Villanova University, our mother university, so to speak, who has come to represent the Augustinians. Since the day we were founded, we have already found ourselves in one of the most dynamic cities in the whole world, which gives a quality Catholic university a unique opportunity to become a global force for good, which this world so surely needs. Dave's energy and vision will lead St. Thomas to become a most significant presence, not only in the southeast of the United States, but in our whole region and our country. Dave, I have told you repeatedly, I applaud what you are doing. You have my confidence, my support, and my friendship. And you also have my prayers, which I know you will surely need. God bless you.
Thank you, Monsignor Casal. Before I begin to welcome our speakers, I want to take a moment to recognize Florida State Representative Ana Maria Rodriguez, who could not be here today as our state representatives are in legislative session in Tallahassee. She sent this proclamation on behalf of the state of Florida Miami-Dade delegation to declare March 20, 2019, David A. Armstrong Day in recognition of his installation as the 10th president of St. Thomas University. That's terrific. Also, an additional quick note before we get started with additional speakers. The next speaker you may see in the program is Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. Unfortunately, she is unable to join us here today, but she sends her regards to both President Armstrong and the university community. So, now it is my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Barbara J. Jordan. As Commissioner for District 1, she represents the cities of Opa-locka and Miami Gardens and has been a friend to St. Thomas throughout her years of public service. Please welcome Commissioner Barbara J. Jordan.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. You know, I am honored to be here, and as has been stated, we've had a wonderful relationship with St. Thomas University. Today, David A. Armstrong will be formally installed as the 10th president of South Florida's most treasured educational facility, St. Thomas University. Most treasured. Do you agree with that? You know, and one of the reasons that it's the most treasured university in South Florida is because it's located in District 1. St. Thomas University is truly a hidden treasure. You know, a part of our relationship through the years, when I first got elected to office, I'm proud to say that St. Thomas University helped me to get on sound footing by identifying all of the businesses that were located in District 1 and identifying our needs. They partnered with Florida Memorial University and gave me the platform for which I needed to help District 1 to grow, taking the initiative to really volunteer and step up to do that. So I owe them a great debt of gratitude. And throughout the years, Mr. President-to-be, once you're installed, we have nurtured a relationship with the student body as well, because each year we recruit for our summer program from this university our student interns who work with businesses out in the community. And I'd love nothing more than to continue and strengthen that relationship. St. Thomas has such a beautiful campus and is one of the most diverse student populations in the nation. Mr. Armstrong brings commitment, vision, and experience to this university. He has successfully advanced small faith colleges throughout the country. He has prioritized recruiting, quality programs, financial aid leveraging, and Mr. Armstrong is determined to transform St. Thomas University into a national and international jewel, which I know he will be successful. But he needs our help. He needs the help of the community. He needs the help of the Board of Trustees. And together, we can help him to achieve this mission and vision. I invite everyone to celebrate this milestone and create a partnership with the new president and with the university. And now I'd like to present, and I'm not sure whether I should do this personally, perhaps I can get direction, a congratulatory, wonderful. It says, congratulations, Miami-Dade County Office of the Mayor and Board of County Commissioners, to David A. Armstrong, as Commissioner and on behalf of the Mayor and the Board of County Commissioners and the residents of Miami-Dade County. I take great pleasure in wishing you the very best on the special occasion of you becoming St. Thomas University's 10th President on this 20th day of the month of March 2019 in Miami-Dade County, signed by the Board of County Commissioners and yours respectfully. Congratulations. Thank you. Let's get a picture over here. Sure.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Jordan, for those kind words. Next, Miami Gardens native, Mayor Oliver G. Gilbert III is another great friend of the university, and I am delighted he is here today to greet President Armstrong on this important day. Please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Miami Gardens, Oliver G. Gilbert.
Wow, good afternoon. No, it's a better day than that, right? Yesterday it was raining. So you know that today is sunny, and so we must be in God's will because the weather is beautiful for this extraordinary moment. I'm Oliver Gilbert, I'm the Mayor of Miami Gardens. You all are in Miami Gardens, so welcome to Miami Gardens. It's always good to be with my great friend, the best county commissioner this side of Jordan, Barbara Jordan. You all give her another round of applause. And they tell me never to start calling names because I will forget someone. So when I forget to call your name, I apologize in advance. But my colleague on the city council, Councilwoman Katrina Wilson, is here. You all, Katrina, please stand for the folks. And then for sure, my very, very good friend, former mayor of the county, Alex Pinellas, is here. I see him over there. You know, and there were two law school professors. They both gave me B pluses when I was here. That would be Professor Light and Professor Wiesner. You all, I love y'all. I could have got an A. I'm just putting it out there because it's not too late to do a grade change. You could do this. Right, Mr. President? He said it can be done. Listen, this is a great day. It's a great day because today we formally install an extraordinary man. And I say man because he's more than just a president, he's more than just an educator, he's more than just a friend, he's more than just a partner of this community. He's demonstrated that in the short time he's been here. He's a person who's willing to reach beyond the boundaries of this campus, into these neighborhoods, into these businesses, into the heart of this community and say, so go you, so go I. That we grow together, we move forward together, that your greatness is our greatness. That is a community. So today I stand before you representing 113,000 people, the third largest city in the county, the largest predominantly African-American city in the state. Not just as me, but as them. And I say, welcome to Miami Gardens. Congratulations on your installation, but also welcome to the partnership. Welcome to the partnership of building the community of Miami Gardens, the community of District 1, the community of Miami-Dade County, and welcome to our global effort to take all of these young faces, all of these young minds, instill in them the grace, guidance, intellectual capacity to not just change their lives, but to change the world. God bless you all. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Gilbert, for your remarks. Now, here to bring greetings on behalf of our law school alumni is the Honorable Tarlika Navarro, Circuit Court Judge for the 17th Judicial Circuit of Florida. She graduated from St. Thomas Law, cum laude, in 2010 and is a fine example of our law alumni. I am proud to introduce the Honorable Tarlika Navarro.
Thank you for having me. President Armstrong, I have to give you a big hug. What an honor it is to be here today. President Armstrong, esteemed faculty, dignitaries, students, and alumni. To say that I am honored does not even begin to quantify the depth of my appreciation and love for my St. Thomas family. Over the years, St. Thomas has become more than a law school to me. It has become, like I said, my family, my closest family to Broward County. And they have been here for me for the last 10 years, and I cannot thank you enough. President Armstrong, you have proven yourself to be an outstanding and dedicated leader to this institution already. And I am so incredibly excited for you to see how St. Thomas grows and prospers under your leadership. I am so proud to be able to speak on behalf of the law school today when I say that today we are #1 nationally for Hispanics getting law degrees. We are We rank #9 in female enrollment. That is above the national average. And we have 29 active judges, 18 of which are women. We consistently rate in the top 10 for best environment for minority students, for most diverse faculty, and most diverse graduates. St. Thomas has come such a long way in the last decade, and I expect nothing less under you, President Armstrong. With you at the helm, I am absolutely certain that there are no limits to St. Thomas University's future. And I welcome you with open arms to the St. Thomas family. God bless.
Thank you so much, Judge. Our next speaker is Mr. Joshua Charles, a best-selling author, historian, researcher, and international speaker. Please welcome Joshua Charles.
The Catholic Church, that imperishable handiwork of our all-merciful God, has for her immediate and natural purpose the saving of souls and securing our happiness in heaven. So said Pope Leo XIII a little over a century ago. I open with those words because they remind me of President David Armstrong. I met him for the first time at his previous institution, named after another Thomas, Thomas More College. He had read my book on the Founding Fathers and decided to invite me to speak at an academic symposium on religious liberty. When we met, I realized he was my kind of guy, fun, passionate, intelligent, and straightforward. We shared many of the same passions and concerns for our world. But at that time, I was not a Catholic. In the back of my mind, I still held it somewhat against him that he was. Coming from a non-Catholic Christian tradition, I believe Catholics, while still Christian, were quite far from the truth. President Armstrong and I had a wonderful conversation that lasted several hours. It went very well until he ended it with words which at the time made me somewhat uncomfortable, but which I now recognize could have possibly saved my soul. "You'd make a great Catholic," he said. "I'll pray to St. Thomas More for you." Well, that's very nice of you, I said in response. Truth is, while I love the guy, I thought what he had said was just weird. Fast forward about a year and a half, and instead of President Armstrong calling me, I was calling him. To tell him what, you may ask? To tell him that I was coming into full communion with the Catholic Church. After a long period of intense research, literally hundreds of books, hundreds of hours of debates, interviews, lectures, conversion stories, I could draw no other conclusion than that the Catholic Church was precisely what it claimed to be, the one holy, Catholic, and apostolic church founded by Jesus Christ, into whose bosom I will be received next month. Yeah. President Armstrong, needless to say, was thrilled. The secret to making this tough man cry? Be a non-Catholic and tell him you're becoming Catholic. Yeah. I firmly believe that President Armstrong's authentic, loving but truthful, daring, and dare I even say, atavistic Catholicism is what set me out on the path toward the church. His prayer to the man for all seasons, Thomas More, on my behalf, I believe were a crucial step in my reception of the faith for all seasons. This is the kind of man who will now be heading your university. And how fitting for the idea of the university itself, an idea we take for granted in the modern world, came straight from the mind, heart, and soul of Holy Mother Church centuries ago. You'd make a great Catholic, he told me almost 3 years ago. It remains to be seen whether I'll be a great Catholic. But there is no doubt in my mind that my becoming Catholic at all is in no small part due to the witness, the prayers, the audacity of this good man, Dr. David Armstrong, who I met under the auspices of one St. Thomas and am now humbled to honor before you under the auspices of another as the new president of St. Thomas University.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Our next speaker, Richard Garsha, hails from Cleveland, Ohio. He's the former chairman, why not? Cleveland, Ohio. He's the former chairman of the Board of Trustees for Notre Dame College. It is a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak about my friend Dave Armstrong. First, I'd like to acknowledge Archbishop Winsky, the faculty, staff, alumni, friends, and most importantly, the students of St. Thomas University. My wife Robin and I have known Dave and Leslie for about 10 years when I became an assistant men's basketball coach at Notre Dame College. Even though we lived within 3 miles of Notre Dame, I knew very little bit about the school. As I have come to learn, it has a great history. Begun as an all-girls school under the auspices of the Sisters of Notre Dame in 1922, enrollment had declined to about 300 women in 2002. The school then became co-ed and began to grow. I met Dave through the basketball program and was immediately impressed by what was happening at Notre Dame College. It was growing, adding programs, adding sports teams, and getting good publicity. Most of all, and most importantly, it was bringing good kids and impacting their lives, the lives of others, in a very positive way. Dave invited me to join the Board of Trustees, and I have just completed a 4-year term as the chairman of the Board of Trustees for Notre Dame College. As you'll find out, Dave is contagious. You cannot say no to him. This has been one of the most expensive volunteer jobs I've ever taken on, but also the most meaningful to the impact of lives. Dave is all about the student and the student experiences. Let me tell you a good story. Dave introduced me to a young man, not a very big guy, good handshake, stood tall, looked you in the eye when you spoke to him. After meeting him, Dave told me the young man was from Youngstown, Ohio, and he came to see Dave about attending Notre Dame and playing on the wrestling team. Dave thought his grades were okay, but he did not think the young man could make the wrestling team. Dave said when he came into an interview, he was prepared, and he wanted to impress. As Dave said, the young man must have worn his dad's suit. It was a generation old and 2 sizes too big. Dave told him his concerns, but the young man said the magic words, "I will try hard and give it my best." He was admitted. As Dave expected, the young man did not make the wrestling team, so Dave asked, "What do you do now?" And he replied, "I'm going to go out for the track team." "What event?" Dave said. He goes, "I don't know, but I will try hard and I'll give it my best." The young man went on to win the NAIA championship in speed walking. Yes, speed walking. He won national competitions and even tried out for the Olympics. If you ask Dave today, he will tell you the young man's name, where he's living, what he's doing, if he's married, and all the facts of this person's life. This is the care and student focus that Dave brings. With the student as the focus, he wraps that with faculty, staff, fellow students, alumni, friends of the community, and everybody in general for the overall experience. It makes a powerful and successful combination. I saw it happen at Notre Dame College, and I can feel it happening here at St. Thomas University. I see you're starting the football program at St. Thomas University. Let me tell you, it'll be more than a football program. Dave and Coach Reichel started football at Notre Dame College 10 years ago. The first impact I remember was at the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Cleveland that same year. The cheerleaders, the band, the students were the talk of the parade. Look at those students, everyone was saying. Notre Dame College has a marching band, cheerleaders. Does that mean they have a football team? Unbelievable. The reaction was just unbelievable. Dave then raised the funds for a football field, and the tradition started. Tailgating in the parking lot. The football team, led by the band and cheerleaders, marching across campus on game day. The citizens of the community coming to the game to watch Notre Dame football all became part of the college life experience. This year, in the 10th year of our program, we were in the Final Four of the Division Football Championship. It was a great experience. As part of Dave's plan, with the influx of students interested in football, cheerleaders, and band, the arts grew. Our choir got bigger. We added a concert band, and these play throughout the community. Our Christmas concert is glorious. We have the best pep band for the men's and women's basketball program. We even have the Fespies, Notre Dame College version of the ESPN Awards program. I miss the Orange Bowl parade, as I'm sure you do. However, I can see the marching Bobcat Band performing at the Junior Orange Bowl parade and other festivities here in South Florida. Just as in Cleveland, people will say, wow, look at those students, the cheerleaders, the band. Do they have football? Looks like a lot is happening at St. Thomas University. Congratulations to Dave and Leslie. Congratulations to St. Thomas University. Congratulations to Miami and South Florida. And most important, congratulations to each and every student that's current, future, and alumni of St. Thomas University. You have a great leader.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And now I'm pleased to welcome to the podium Dr. Matthew Whelan, the Vice President for Strategic Initiatives at Stony Brook University.
Thank you. Archbishop Wensky, members of the board, esteemed faculty, guests, staff, administration, alumni, and especially students. As you just heard, I have the privilege of serving as the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Stony Brook, a large Research One institution on the North Shore of Long Island. So what am I doing here? I have known Dave Armstrong for more than 35 years. I have known him as a friend, as a confidant, as a co-administrator, and as someone who have shared a lot of growing up together as we developed our own backgrounds in administration and leadership. I've thought long and hard about what to say and what not to say. And so I just want to give you a few thoughts as I discuss my long-term professional relationship and kinship with Dr. Armstrong. I could tell you how we met our very first year at Mercyhurst College in Macaulay Hall. Two first-generation kids growing up in large Catholic families, I one of 8, Dave one of 7 siblings, and how we struggled our way through college and how we found the faculty so willing to help us do so. I could tell you about the summer that we painted our way through Mercyhurst College, trying to earn money for the following semester's tuition, and now the value we learned in what it means to put hard work into something. I could tell you how we explored the genius and the flaws of the Founding Fathers as we took a trip in our history class from Erie, Pennsylvania to Mount Vernon and Monticello, and how this opened our eyes to the myriad learning opportunities beyond the classroom. I could tell you about our adventures as Vice President and President of Student Government, and how we found that negotiations and compromise were critical to our success. I could tell you about I had to put this in, Dave. I could tell you about the pizza and the chicken wings we ate every Sunday night after Mass as we discussed the issues of the day and learned how to listen, not just talk. I could tell you about how we explored the joys, rewards, and frustrations of coaching, Dave in football and I in soccer, and how we learned about the most important facet of all, team building. I could tell you how we supported each other through our roles as deans of admission, vice presidents of various institutional areas, he at some small Catholic colleges, and I at larger institutions, both public and Catholic, and how we learned about talking with colleagues outside our own institutions and the value of doing so. In short, I could tell you about many of the leadership lessons he's learned and I learned along with him, many of them born of the successes and quite possibly, and more importantly, many of them born of the failures we faced. Most importantly, I can tell you about the deep love and commitment he has for you, for the people, for the students, the alumni, the staff, the faculty, and the community for whom he has dedicated his life. But there's not time for all that, so I'm going to leave you for one thought. We are in one of the most turbulent and precarious and disruptive times in higher education. We're faced with the tsunami of change, demographic changes challenging our enrollment patterns, technological changes challenging our teaching and learning, and certainly shifting political winds that call into skepticism the very value of higher education, and especially Catholic higher education. We're staring in the face of these changing times, times in which many smaller, public and private, and yes, Catholic institutions are being challenged to prove their worth and to do so well or face the end of their existence. And so while I cannot tell you where higher education will take all of us, I can tell you this. The mission you've chosen at St. John's, at St. Thomas, and to which President Armstrong has committed himself fully, committing yourselves to the academic and professional success of our students who will become ethical leaders in our global community, is right now, more than ever before, critically important to our world. And so while I can continue to tell you about the many of the life lessons which will help President Armstrong lead you through this turbulent period, I choose only to tell you this. I can think of no one more committed, no one more determined, no one more passionate, and no one tougher, and no one more prepared to lead you on this journey. You'll find President Armstrong leading there with you, sometimes leading in front, sometimes leading beside, but always, always, even in disagreement, standing beside you. He is unwavering in his commitment to you, to St. Thomas, to Catholic higher education, and he will support you in your efforts with an unwavering focus and a steadfast heart. His mission is to propel St. Thomas forward. And so I wish you congratulations, President Armstrong, Leslie and his family. Best wishes to all of you, and of course, prayers for the journey ahead. But most of all, go Bobcats.
Thank you so much, Dr. Whelan. Now, St. Thomas University is remarkably proud of its outstanding faculty. And today with us, one such faculty member is certainly Dr. Mary Carter Warren, Associate Professor and Head of our Faculty Forum. I now ask Dr. Carter to bring greetings on behalf of the faculty of the university.
Good afternoon. I am indeed privileged to represent the faculty of St. Thomas University at this event. Would all the faculty please stand? This cadre of scholars embodies what it means to be a leader for life, as they live out and witness to the passion for their disciplines, deep care for our students, and belief in the transformative nature of higher education, particularly at a Catholic university. The faculty at St. Thomas University is one of its greatest assets, and I know that President Armstrong already has a deep appreciation for that reality. We would like to acknowledge as the faculty the service of President Emeritus Monsignor Franklin Casale over the past 25 years. His accomplishments are many, but much of what we now take for granted on this campus, the Carnival Cruise Line's Science and Technology Building, the Fernandez Family Center for Leadership and Wellness, in which we now gather, the 37th Avenue entrance. If you came in 32nd, you might have forgotten that that was the only entrance to St. Thomas University, and the jewel of the campus, the Chapel of St. Anthony, among his many accomplishments, all due to Monsignor Casale's vision and leadership. Monsignor, we thank you. Public theology involves taking it to the streets. If you hear a song in your head, it's okay. Taking it to the streets, engaging theology with the world without waiting for the world to come to us. This encounter hopefully changes theology in the ways in which the Christian message is communicated, and it changes the world in the ways in which it's called to build for the common good. In my many conversations with President Armstrong over these past 8 months, I can summarize all of them this way. He is taking St. Thomas University to the streets. He is not waiting to be found, but is telling the story of the incredible work we do here to the public, to every venue, every community, every person who will listen. His boundless energy for this work and his transparency about his work, I believe, will lead us toward a sustainable future. President Armstrong is taking the private out of private education at St. Thomas University, or at least seriously redefining that word. President Armstrong, be assured of the support and prayers of the faculty of St. Thomas University as we move forward in building a future together.
Thank you, Dr. Carter Warren. Now, I'm pleased to welcome to the podium Mr. Gabriel Isasi, a third-year law student and president of the St. Thomas Student Bar Association.
Good afternoon. I'd like to begin by saying it is a great honor to be able to give this greeting on behalf of the over 500 law students at a law school that has given so many, including myself, so much. St. Thomas University School of Law is unique in that it serves a very diverse group of students. A group of students that for many, the dream of achieving a law degree would have been deemed impossible as recently as a generation ago. As many in here know, St. Thomas University is currently on an upswing. Due to careful and diligent change to the curriculum by Dean Lawson, Dean Hernandez, and the rest of the academic support team, we have watched our bar passage rate continuously climb. But what many don't see is that St. Thomas does more than any other institutions could ever dream of. From our work at America's southern border to returning $300,000 in tax returns to low-income families in the community, we do more. From our International Human Rights Law Review being ranked 6th in the world, to our law review sending one author a year to be published on a national stage, we do more. From our moot court winning Best Brief in Washington, D.C., to our trial team winning back-to-back national championships, beating teams like UCLA, Emory, and Harvard, we do more. We do more because we are more, and I am confident that I speak for every student at St. Thomas Law when I say thank you, President Armstrong, because ever since you got on this campus, you have done everything in your power to make sure that we will always be more. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. Now, another remarkable student. I'm pleased to welcome Jamar Alexis, a senior and president of the Student Government Association. Mr. Alexis brings the greetings of the undergraduate student body to President Armstrong.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing? That's crazy. Good. We'll try that again. Good afternoon, everyone. There you go. Thank you, Jamiqua. Thank you all for allowing me to be here today and say a few words at this momentous occasion in our university's history. The change that I've experienced in my short 3-year tenure here at St. Thomas University has been insane. Obviously, that change has been even more rapid and even more prevalent, being that we've had a new president. From the very beginning, I've experienced President Armstrong to be a man with a dream and a vision for St. Thomas University. And he's had a very specific plan of how he wants to make this dream a reality. He has been extremely proactive and has been working to make it happen since his first day in office. Between starting our university's football and marching band programs to restructuring various aspects of campus functions to make it more efficient, he has already done so much for our school, and I know that he will continue to do more of the same. Besides all of that, one of the things that I appreciate most about President Armstrong is how approachable he is and how he has been doing that since he's gotten here. Since he's been here, anyone can tell that he's really made a concentrated effort to be extremely visible all over campus, whether it be at various events, sporting games, and even with how active he is on social media. Not only does he want our school to grow and has participated in numerous events off campus for that reason, but he shows that he really wants to be involved in the average STU student's life, and that means a ton. Dramatic page flip. To future students, I would encourage you all to embrace the changes and everything he will bring to the table. Trust in his plan. President Armstrong, I want to thank you for what you've already done for this school that I love. I want to thank you for what you have taught me and what you've done for me personally. and I want to congratulate you on your official inauguration. I think it's only fitting to end this speech with what you always say: God bless and go Bobcats. Thank you all.
Thanks so much, Jamar. And thank you to all of you who have shared greetings here today. I now invite to the podium John J. Dooner, a 1970 alumnus and chair of the St. Thomas University Board of Trustees.
Before I share my comments, I'd like to have Gabriel and Jamar stand up. Where are you guys? This is what it's all about. You probably didn't listen, but my involvement at St. Thomas University started more than 50 years ago. Hard to believe when you're 47. As a freshman in 1966. At that time, you heard earlier that the university was known as Biscayne College and was overseen by a band of devout and intrepid Augustinian friars, and some from Villanova here today, which is fantastic. 12 years ago, I returned to St. Thomas to serve as a trustee and was elected chair of the board 6 years ago. This institution, its campus, its alumni, its students are a sacred trust to the board and to me. With the retirement of Monsignor Casal after 25 years of distinguished service, the trustees began a search for the university's 10th president, one who would embrace our mission and further grow St. Thomas. We sought a dynamic leader that understood the traditions of a Catholic education, but would disrupt the common and the status quo to take us even further. We saw many candidates, many applied, but there was only one choice. It was David Armstrong. David Armstrong, for 30 years, as you heard, has worked to make faith-based institutions flourish. He has a track record of transforming universities by increasing enrollment, growing resources, launching programs, and building facilities. Armstrong, as you also heard, brings a unique set of characteristics to the job. He has a powerful, powerful commitment to mission. He has a big, big sense of vision. Actually, you heard about football. He and I are going to be guards. We're working on that right now. And he has boundless energy. And you also heard this, and I think is most important, he is totally, totally committed to the success of our students. Here's the incredible part of his story. His university experience makes him what I call a category of one in the academic world. There is not a job on campus that President Armstrong has not done. Football coach, admissions counselor, athletic director, professor, in-house counsel, development director, and of course, past president of St. Thomas More. He knows how to run a university and how a university needs to run. But as said earlier, most important, he believes in the power of education to build leaders for life who will enhance our local and global communities. May God bless our new president, David A. Armstrong.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dooner. And now it is time to commemorate our 10th president of this great university. The investiture and presentation of the Presidential Medallion will be conducted by the Most Reverend Thomas G. Wensky.
St. Thomas University is a great university, an amazing institution. A diploma from this university signifies not an entitlement, but an accomplishment. An accomplishment made possible by the hard work of the students, but hard work that was directed and mentored by the faculty and by people like President Armstrong. And so now I call on David Armstrong to step forward. You have been duly selected to serve as the 10th president of this university. It is my great pleasure as the Archbishop of Miami and the sponsor of this university, which means I'm the owner of the place, I guess. If you don't pay the bills, the bank comes after me. But I invite, it is my pleasure to install you in that office of president with all its requisite rights, privileges, and responsibilities. By accepting the President's Medallion, you accept the charge to serve with diligence, with dedication, with energy, vision, and integrity as you carry out the duties of President of St. Thomas University. All these people here and beyond are counting on you, but they're also pulling for you and for your success. So now I would ask President Armstrong to make his oath of fidelity. You don't have it memorized?
No. I'll hand you the Bible.
There it is.
Okay. I, David A. Armstrong, in assuming the office of the President at St. Thomas University, promise that in my words and in my actions, I shall always preserve communion with the Catholic Church. With great care and fidelity, I shall carry out the duties incumbent on me toward the Church, both universal and particular, in which, according to the provisions of the law, I have been called to exercise my service. In fulfilling the charge entrusted to me in the name of the Church, I shall hold fast to the deposit of faith in its entirety. I shall faithfully hand it on and explain it, and I shall avoid any teachings contrary to it. I shall follow and foster the common discipline of the entire Church, and I shall maintain the observance of all ecclesiastical laws, especially those contained in the Code of Canon Law. With Christian obedience, I shall follow what the bishops, as authentic doctors and teachers of the faith, declare, or what they, as those who govern the Church, establish. I shall also faithfully assist the diocesan bishops so that the apostolic activity exercised in the name and by mandate of the Church may be carried out in communion with the Church. So help me God and God's holy gospels on which I place my hand.
Thank you.
Whew. Should probably have everybody stand up and take a break. All right. Somehow I'm going to get this going here. right. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon and welcome to St. Thomas University. Archbishop Wensky, Chair Dooner, President Emeritus Casal, our trustees, presidents from other universities, the representatives from other institutions, our dignitaries, our faculty, staff, family, friends, and especially our students. Welcome. Thank you for being a part of this special day. Today I'm going to take on 4 topics: who we are, where we came from, where we are now, and where we are going. But before I do that, I want to model the behavior that we expect of all our students. I always say that if our students graduate from St. Thomas University without an attitude of gratitude, we have failed. I want to thank all of you. My heart is very full today. I especially want to thank our Archbishop. He is a wonderful shepherd for our flock here in the Archdiocese. But in addition, he's a pretty cool guy. He drives Harleys. He likes to have a good cigar now and then, just like I do. And he drives those Harleys to raise money for the less fortunate. The greatest compliment I can give anyone who knows me well, is this: you can't just talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And Archbishop Wensky walks the walk in everything he does. So please give him a big round of applause. He and Sister Elizabeth Worley do a wonderful job for our Archdiocese and for this institution. Chair John Dooner, I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for John Dooner. So if you don't like me, blame him. If you like me, it's because of him. He was a pit bull and came after me and wanted me to be here at St. Thomas University. And he's a wonderful man, Irish guy from the Bronx who just wouldn't stop. And you don't know this about him because he's a very humble guy. He actually just got inducted, or is going to be inducted on April 30th to the National Advertising Hall of Fame. That is big. Yes. And you heard it here first, he will be our commencement speaker at graduation. And I want to thank him and his wife, Cindy, and also another special couple, Don Dressback and his wife, Pat. They've really made Leslie and I very comfortable here, very comfortable. They've taken care of us, and they've taken care of our other kids, our 3 dogs. So they're just wonderful people. Monsignor Casal. When I met Monsignor Casal, because we were presidents of diocesan institutions, I knew right away I liked him and I knew I wanted to be his friend. And you heard all the things talked about here at St. Thomas. It's all because of him and the work that he's done. So no doubt I stand on his shoulders, but most importantly, I get to call him friend. Thank you, Monsignor. He actually yells at me when I call him Monsignor. Tells me I got to call him Frank. That's tough for a Catholic school kid. I want to thank our trustees. Such wonderful people. It's one of the things that attracted me to St. Thomas University is the wonderful trustees we have. They truly give up their time, talent, and treasure over and over and over again. And they motivate me every day. I want to thank the representatives from all the universities, but especially we have some presidents in the crowd. I know how busy that schedule is. For you to take time out on a Wednesday to come and be here, a part of our inauguration, is very special. So could all those presidents please stand and get a special round of applause. All our dignitaries, judge, commissioner, just wonderful people. You are servant leaders. All the speakers today, I can't say enough. All the kind words, very special. Joshua Charles, Rich, Matt, our students, Dr. Mary Carter Warren, very special. I do want to recognize 3 people and then this committee. All the stuff you see, all the stuff that you see over this week for the inauguration was done by a special committee, but 3 main people. I always say, this is from Dan Gilbert, my favorite quote, innovation is rewarded, but execution is worshiped. These people executed, they got things done. Gigi Laudicio, our Vice President for Philanthropy, Lorena Hidalgo, and Marlene Lebish, please stand up. Also, our housekeeping and maintenance people, Eric Wilkie Mackey, and then all the committee, the inauguration committee, please stand up. You did a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you. I have some friends from college here, played football with, great guys. I do what I do today because of that experience. It was a wonderful experience, and my goal in life is to make sure that other students get that same experience. Plus, I got to meet my wife at that institution too. Very special. And for all those I worked with in the past that are here, I'm up here today because of you. I'm here today because of you. And I want to thank my family, all my nephews and nieces. I have 4 older brothers. One has passed away. I was the baby boy. It was 5 boys, then 2 girls. My second oldest brother, Steve, is here. And since my dad passed away, he's become the leader of our family. And all I ever wanted to do in life was to become my brothers. And I just appreciate him being here today. And also my sisters, the 2 strongest ladies I know, my sister Therese and my sister Mary. They're here today. And of course, my kids, David and Johanna. I'm a little different as a president. I know a lot of times presidents and faculty send their kids to other schools. I don't really believe in that. I'm so happy that my children attended the schools where I was president. If I'm trying to recruit students and people from your family to my institution, it's got to be good enough for my family. And so I'm so happy that David's at Thomas More and Johanna's here at St. Thomas. My heaven on earth is when my son is up on the mound and my daughter's up on stage. And when my son is on the mound, his walk-up music is Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive. He's a closer. It works. But the true TCB in our family's life is my beautiful wife, Leslie. Leslie takes care of all the business, selling the houses, buying the houses, moving the kids, moving the dogs, everything that has to happen. I can't do what I do without the most wonderful First Lady ever, Leslie Robin Armstrong. Thank you, babe. Had to grab a water. Sorry. Especially before I talk about this lady. My mother, Dolores Armstrong. Where you at, Ma? There you are. Okay. Yes. Stand up, Ma. I want you to stand up. Everybody's got to see you. This lady raised her 6 siblings when her father passed away, and her mother was pregnant with their 7th child, and they were all successful. Then she wanted to have 7 kids. I don't know about that one. She wanted to do it again. My siblings are all very successful. If you want to know why there's painting going on and cleaning and all that kind of stuff, it's her fault. She has the most immaculate house in the world. As a matter of fact, I'm sure when she left to get on the plane, she put extra lines in the carpets in each room. But she taught us the importance of appearance and work ethic. And so I love you, Mom. Thanks so much for being here. You finally got down here to see us. Yes. So thank you. So, who we are. We are archdiocesan. There are only 8 diocesan Catholic colleges left in the country. That is a distinguishing factor for us. That means we follow the teachings of the local bishop. And that is our selling point. We are mission-centric. St. Thomas is a Catholic university with rich cultural and international diversity, committed to the academic and professional success of its students who go on to become ethical leaders in the global community. Our people live that mission every single day. Where we came from. Actually, I had more to talk about in the history, but Archbishop at his homily and the people that spoke today, Monsignor, did a wonderful job. But I'll say this, our history from Cuba to Miami, from that Augustinian priest, Father Spirelli, who came from Italy, grew up in Philadelphia, was a street sweeper before he became a priest. He created what I think is the true Miami story, and that story has a great political lesson for us today. Santo de Damas de Villanueva was casted out of Cuba. They took our land, they took our property. The first thing you do when you want to take over a country is you get rid of the intellectuals and the academics, and you get rid of the religious. But those priests weren't going to stop there. They came to Miami the same year. The Archbishop gave them land here, and they started Biscayne College for Men. In 1984, Father Pat, we became St. Thomas University, Archdiocesan, and we added our law school. This story is so much like the wonderful Cuban Americans I've met in my time here at St. Thomas University. Families who escaped to America from a communist regime. The Pedro Pan kids that came here without their families, who have now all become wildly successful. They are the epitome of the American dream. So it's very important now, because we have people going around saying that socialism is the answer. College should be free, this should be free, everything should be free. Well, listen, especially students, I have a message for you. Anything that is of value is not free. Someone has to pay for it, someone has to invest in it, someone has to work very hard for it. And that's the only time you value it. When you put the time in, you put the money in, you put the effort in. Socialism is not the answer. I'll say it, free college is the biggest political lie going. All you got to do is ask Governor Cuomo in New York and what he's done to their budget by saying it, just by saying it. And we know socialism has not worked around the world. We know that. All we have to do is look at Cuba and Venezuela. I am a Hamiltonian. You probably know that. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, they all dreamed of an agrarian society. Hamilton pictured our society. We live in his world. I had the distinct pleasure of attending the Acton Institute last summer. Acton Institute was founded by Father Bob Sirico and others. What they do is they look at the compatibility of faith, liberty, and free economic activity as the way to human flourishing. And in his talk at the end of the conference, it was one of the best talks I've ever heard, he said something that has stuck with me ever since. He said, you have to understand this. Without property rights, you cannot practice religion. Without property rights, you cannot practice religion. That's why the people came over to this country to start with. They were trying to practice their faith. Religious freedom, freedom to practice your religion, is the boulder on which we stand on. And if we are socialism and we don't have property rights, we cannot practice our faith. Know that. And it's so wonderful to have Joshua Charles here. My favorite historical author. I got to say that because Greg Seelick reminded me that he's my favorite novelist. He's an English teacher and football coach here. So Joshua Charles, my favorite historian. He wrote a book called Liberty Secrets. I've handed it out to a lot of students. I was so impressed that all the books were gone in the first couple hours. That was awesome. He wrote a book where for 5 years while he was in law school, a millennial, okay? We always criticize the millennials. He's a millennial. He's in law school, and he does research for 5 years to write the book. He was looking for answers to what ails us today, and he thought he could find it in the writings of our founders. And what the founders said is that in order to have a self-governing republic, the citizens must have two characteristics: virtue, i.e. morality, knowledge, i.e. education. For the founders, virtue, morality, a moral code, was best established by the practicing of religion, whether individually or with a group or a church, to create a moral code. It cannot come from the government. Our morality cannot come from the government. It must come from within. And for the founders, it was not just a government, it was a monarch. It must come from within. Knowledge, and we know that we've been struggling with the practice of faith. Secularism is rising, the practice of faith is going down. We've been dealing with that for several years. But here's where the problem lies. Knowledge, i.e. education. The founders believed in private education, public education. They believed in education. They're the most educated people to ever start a country. But for the first time in our country, people don't value education. They're not funding it. I just found out today from Jeff Sinise, the president of St. Leo's, that the state of Florida just dropped the EASE program 18%. We cannot let that stand. You need to get on the phone, you need to write letters, you need to send emails. We need to keep that funding. As a matter of fact, we need to increase that funding. It's important, it's imperative for our students. So now, both things are going down that the founder said we need to have a self-governing republic. That's not good. And because of that knowledge from our founders, I believe in a faith-based education. I also believe that civics should be taught in our schools. So it's important to know who we are and how we got. Now let's talk about how we got here today, where we are now. Let's talk about where we are now. We are a values-based education that produces leaders for life. Living our mission, there's so many examples. And a lot of those were given today. But we are a minority-majority serving institution. 81% of our students are minority. The majority of those are Hispanic, Latino. 31% of our students are first generation, just like me. 51% of our students are Pell eligible. And again, we talk about serving Hispanic students like we do at the law school, #1, 2 years running. We are Miami. We are South Florida. All the national competitions, everything we've done, very special. So I want the faculty to stand up again and to get a big round of applause. Because of our success, it's because of our faculty. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you. And over the last 6 months, we talked about making a big announcement every 30 days. We were able to do that. On the first day, we raised $250,000 for new baseball stands. We launched football and marching band the next month. And we have over 140 players already signed for football. The Benediction Institute for Data Science and Analytics, support from our trustees. We have the appointment of Tamara Lawson as the permanent law school dean, the first woman of color as a permanent dean in the state of Florida. The hiring of our new provost, Dr. Jeremy Moreland, who has quite the radio voice, don't you think? And the announcement that we're going to reopen Donnellan Hall and have a new residence hall. But the biggest announcement is that we started construction on the Gus Machado School of Business. As Matt Whelan said, these are very interesting times in education. Jeff Salingo, the higher ed expert, wrote an article several years ago, said that the disruption in higher ed is coming. There are 4,000 colleges and universities in this country. Only 400 to 500 have the fiscal strength to survive it. Schools most in danger are small, faith-based, liberal arts, underfunded, tuition-driven, under-endowed institutions. That puts the mark squarely on the back of the institution I graduated from, all the schools I've worked at, and here at St. Thomas University. And Archbishop did a wonderful job talking about that admissions scandal. And I'm going to tell you something. Our politicians love talking about private schools and elite schools. It's those schools, the elite schools, and our large state universities that have become the elite schools. When I was going to college, that was the access institution. No more. The schools that are getting all the state funding are the elite institutions. You know who the access institutions are? St. Thomas University, Notre Dame College. Those are the access institutions. We are doing God's work. We are doing the work that the state wanted. And we know that you get more for your dollar, as Gabriel said, more here at St. Thomas University. So that leads us to where we are going. Where we are going. The strategic planning process will begin after this inauguration. We'll be writing a vision strategic thinking document, and it will carry these three main pillars. Number one, we are about faith formation and producing leaders for life. But we can't just say it, we must do it. We will start an ethical leadership studies program. We will be deliberate about ethical leadership. It will have its foundation in philosophy and theology and ethics. Then a strong liberal arts core component, because you need the critical thinking skills, the analytical thinking skills, the communication skills, what I call essential skills. A good business core so that you're viable. And lastly, we will go to the industries and ask them, what do we need to teach to produce your future ethical leaders? And lastly, we'll teach this by experiential learning and make that a requirement for the curriculum. Co-ops, internships, study abroad, service learning, apprenticeships, outside real-world work you will have on your resume as you graduate. Number 2, we must have quality programs that lead to student success. Innovation is good, but we need to hone in on what we do great here at St. Thomas University. SPOAD, our sports administration program, the first of its kind in the country, data analytics, cybersecurity, STEM with nursing. We must give our students the support to meet our high standards. And one of those things that we've done recently, faculty are now going back to being the full-time advisors of our students. That's crucial. Our students need to have a great relationship with their faculty. And I know most college presidents don't talk like this, but we need our RIO for our students and their families. They must get a return on this investment. Lastly, moving forward on our strategic plan, the last pillar, and this is a very important one. We must steward our resources. And I spell steward S-T-U-W-A-R-D. We must steward our resources. You've heard me say many times, no margin, no mission. We have to get our finances in order. We cannot live on deficits. I'm saying it now, and some of you are in the audience. We will no longer have vendors at St. Thomas University. We will only have partners. Partners who will invest in our mission and invest in our students and in our people. Our employees, faculty, staff, everyone, must be invested in the institution. If you're here for yourself, you're here for the wrong reasons. You have to be about the mission and the institution. Everything that we do going forward will be run through a 5-pronged test. I'm a lawyer, 5-pronged test. Number 1, is it mission-centric? Number 2, is there a market for the program? Number 3, can we do the program with quality? Number 4, are there positive outcomes for our students after the program is completed? And number 5, is it fundable? Whether tuition, gifts, foundations, whatever that is. So I'll say it, we have very tough decisions ahead. Very tough decisions ahead. And I believe that we can handle them. Why? Why do we need to handle them? A very smart man told me many times, there are plenty alternatives to education, but there is no substitute for Catholic education or the Catholic intellectual tradition, where we seek out all answers, no matter where they take us, knowing that in the end, God is at the center. We know all the statistics. Small, private, faith-based liberal arts colleges, students have higher grade point average, they graduate sooner, they graduate with less debt, they're more apt to go on and earn a terminal degree in their field. But what I love is an alumni survey that was done of all college graduates, all different kind of colleges. Catholic university graduates came out number 1 in these 2 things. Number 1, they give back to their university more often. That's good as a president. And number 2, they're more civically engaged than any other alumni. They're leaders for life. Dr. Joseph Owen, the second reason is the future. Dr. Joseph Owen, president of Northeastern, wrote a book called Robot Proof. It's about how we can compete with artificial intelligence. He believes that higher education, we should teach what's called the humanics. 3 literacies, technological literacy, big data literacy, and human literacy, which is the liberal arts, the critical thinking skills, the communicating skills. And the best way to teach those 3 literacies is experiential learning. Dr. Owen, meet St. Thomas University, where we have computer science in our general education, data analytics and cybersecurity. We will increase our humanities to further the critical thinking skills infused with ethics, with programs like ethical leadership and experiential learning for the requirement for graduation for all. The last reason why we must make the tough decisions to move forward. Ultimately, the ultimate goal is that we are tied to Miami and South Florida. It is about where we are. Miami is a great American city. I believe it's the future city of America. The diversity, the entrepreneurship, the fun. It is truly a global city. We can reach 30 countries within 2 hours from our airport. And every great American city has a great Catholic university. We have 2 very good Catholic colleges here in Miami. In the future, we will strive to become that great Catholic university for this great American city and this region. Sounds lofty, doesn't it? It is. But I like to live by Daniel T. Burnham, the great American architect. I like to live by his quote. Make no small plans. They have no magic to stir people's blood. Make big plans in hope, faith, and work. At St. Thomas University, we will think and we will dream big, and we will be bold. As I end my time here, I have to go in my pocket. I want to tell you a little story about this seashell that I have in my hand. I mentioned early on that my heart was very full, but I didn't say it was completely full, because my father, who is my hero, and I believe he's a great American hero, passed away 3 years ago. He was a self-made man, tool and die guy, who started his own business, started 2 businesses where many people were able to take care of their families. My mother and my father taught me my work ethic, my personality, my faith, my sense of humor. My dad taught me that providing for the family is the most important thing. He treated the custodian the same as he treated the CEO. At a time when this wasn't the norm, he treated people of color better than he treated other people. Now, he loved Cleveland, Ohio. At his funeral, I called him the Earl of Cleveland. Everybody knew him, season ticket holder for all the sports teams. Could have probably ran for any political office and won. But he also loved Florida. My mom and him had timeshares in Fort Myers. He loved coming to Florida and walking the beach. It was the only time he did exercise, walking the beaches. So when he was dying, February 3 years ago, I was in Florida, working. I was raising money for my previous institution. Now, I try to rationalize this and say my dad would have been proud of me because I was working. But I wanted to get back, and so I changed my flight. But in that morning, before I got on the flight, I was walking the beach, and I picked up this shell. It just struck me. It looked like a beautiful shell. I wanted to put that shell in my dad's hand in his last hours, because I know how much he loved Florida. I didn't get there. I missed it by about an hour. So every day, this shell has been sitting on my dresser, and I actually look at it every single day and think about the man that made me the man I am today. And if my dad was here, I'm sure last night, even with the rain, we would have sat out on the patio and probably had a good cigar, and he would have asked me, Dave, do you like it? Do you like St. Thomas? Do you like Florida? And I would have said, absolutely, Dad. I love it. I love this place. It's beautiful. The weather's like paradise. Monsignor told me that when I took the job. He said, welcome to paradise. The weather has been that. It's lived up to that. But most important, the people. Familia, faith, and fun. And our dad taught us how to have fun. And he would love that. So, it's now time to celebrate. We're great at that at St. Thomas University. But lastly, I will say this. Today's gospel is very important. A quote from today's gospel. Whoever wishes to be great among you shall be your servant. Know that every second that I am here, I will always be your servant. God bless all of you. Muchas gracias. I appreciate so much that you've done for me here. Thank you. And now I need my students. We end the speech like we always end the speech here at St. Thomas University. I'm going to give a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Bobcats! God bless you. Thank you.
Well, I'm the last thing standing between you and the reception, so I'm called upon to give a benediction. The Lord be with you. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. How's that for a quick benediction? And now I guess we sing the Alma Mater song, and then we can go on.
Thank you. Would you all please continue to stand for the singing of the Alma Mater? You'll find the words printed on page 5 of the program, if you don't know them by heart already.
Saint Thomas, now we sing our song of gladness, to be a part of your great honored name. Here in this land so rich with ancient memories of people from so many native lands. Bless is our home and loving Alma Mater, and make us true to her great heritage. Born in the light of noble St. Augustine, her teachings stand like beacons on our shores, leading us to a life of love and service. No matter where our feet will tread anew, keep life in us, the memories now we treasure, and bring us to your eternal home.
Thank you, Natalia. Please take a seat, albeit briefly. It's my honor to speak on behalf of the Board of Trustees and President Armstrong in thanking each and every one of you for being part of this momentous occasion for St. Thomas University. Please join me in recognizing and thanking the inaugural steering committee, staff and faculty volunteers, and many, many others who have made today a special, special event. Please join me in thanking them. So if you would, immediately following the recessional, as the stage party and faculty leave the venue, we ask that you please join us at the inaugural reception taking place next door on the St. Thomas soccer fields. We have ushers outside who will be waiting to lead the way. I look forward to seeing each of you there. So please remain seated comfortably during the recessional, and we'll see you outside to celebrate. Thank you.